All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone. This is our second Microsoft March webinar in our series, and we're really happy to have you all again. Just a quick reminder that this webinar is being recorded and will be posted online for future viewing. So you can go back and revisit it anytime if you missed something or you want to rewatch it. So that'll be up on our website afterwards. So Microsoft March is IT Solutions' annual celebration of Microsoft Office 365 and all of the amazing apps and tools that you have access to as a student, faculty, or staff member here at Minnesota State University, Mankato. So all March long, we're helping to educate and share tips and resources on Office 365 apps with online help articles and a series of special training webinars. So if you want to check out our other resources or register for upcoming webinars, you can go online to mankato.mnsu.edu/Microsoft March. There's lots of cool resources on there for you as well. So let's go ahead and begin. Today's topic is Microsoft OneDrive and OneNote, and these are both really helpful and useful apps that you guys can use. So we'll talk more in depth about them and how to use them. My name is Lexi Potter, and I'll be helping host this session. I'm the Strategic Communications Coordinator here at IT Solutions. And in just a moment, I'll go ahead and hand things off to our presenters, Bryan Johnson and Steve Rodman, who are both solutions architects at IT Solutions. So just a reminder, if you have questions throughout the webinar, go ahead and use that Q&A function or send them in the chat, and I'll do my best to break in and read those off for you. Otherwise, we'll save the last few minutes of the webinar for any last questions that you might have. So with that, I'll go ahead and hand things off to our presenters.
Good afternoon. I'm Steve Rodman. My co-host Bryan will be joining us here. I'm going to kick things off, and I'm going to take us straight away into talking about OneDrive. You don't need to see the Q&A. And apparently, Lexi, I still need to get you my picture. So anyway, wow, I'm all sorts of mixed up here. There we go. Okay. So a lot of people will get access to OneDrive through, easiest place to start is from your Mav mail. Go up to the waffle here. Typically, you'll see OneDrive here if it's pinned. If it's not pinned, again, you can expand the all apps. I'm going to pick lists because I don't have this one currently pinned, and you can say pinned to launcher, and then it should show up here in your pinned apps. So I'm going to go ahead and open OneDrive. OneDrive is like MavDisk, except it's hosted through Office 365 by Microsoft in a cloud environment that's accessible from anywhere, without the need for VPN or any other connection tools. And when you land in OneDrive, it's going to show you right away your files, just a list of files and folders. As you can see, mine is very messy. Please don't judge me. But over to the right, you can find some useful links here. You can click on the recent link, and it'll show you the recent items that you've worked on, including the Microsoft March PowerPoint we were just viewing. You can click on the shared link, and it'll show you two tabs: the shared with you, items that people have shared with you, and also items that you have shared to other people. And in preparing for this, I did notice one fun thing. Maybe it's not fun, but I thought it was. So for instance, this file right here is owned by our coworker, Jeff Hunstead. And if I look that up and hover over it, you can see that it flips. And so it can tell me where it's being hosted. So this file is currently hosted on Jeffrey Hunstead's OneDrive, where the one above it is hosted on my OneDrive. Just a little tidbit if you're looking for something and want an idea of where things are. And much like your typical computer, OneDrive comes with a recycling bin. And in the recycling bin, you can find items that you've deleted recently, and they'll stay here for, I believe, approximately 2 weeks. And one of the other nice things about it is there's actually a second stage recycling bin where items will be held for another period of time before they're actually discarded. So you kind of got a double fail safe there. So let's go back to my files.
Can I just emphasize one more point here before you move on? Just that this cloud storage system is 1 terabyte of free storage available to all of our faculty, staff, and students through their Office 365 subscription. So OneDrive, you get 1 terabyte, and I believe that can even be increased. So if you're somebody who works with media day to day, like maybe Lexi and Amy have, that they need more storage, I believe that can also be increased with a request to the Solution Center.
Yep, thanks, Brian, for pointing that out. So from within OneDrive, you can do a variety of things. The first thing we can do is we can create new things. What are the new things we can create? Out of the gate, we can create a folder to help organize things. You can create a plethora of Office products, documents, Excels, PowerPoint, OneNote, forms. These can all be created with the click of a button. That's not to say that OneDrive can't host other files. You know, as Brian alluded to, media types, movies. It can host anything you can throw at it. The last time I checked, I think a single file limit was enabled, and I think it was around 5 gig, but I believe that changes and probably has changed since the last time I looked.
I seem to recall a recent announcement. I'll look it up while you continue, Steve, but I believe you're right that they've recently increased that. And so I believe that's, you know, since we've started using OneDrive at the university, I believe it's increased a few times. So the expectation would be that perhaps in the future that will increase again.
Awesome. From OneDrive, we can click on our projects listing here, and we can edit items right here in the cloud. We don't need to necessarily open it in our own desktop environment if we don't want to. And so that is a convenient for quick edits. There are going to be some more complicated functions that are still going to be better on the desktop apps than up here. One of those for me of note would be a table of contents in a Word doc. It just seems to work a little better when you do that through the actual document itself. And one nice thing about it is if I'm opening this in OneDrive, I can go here to my editing button and I can click open in the desktop app. And that will open up this document in my desktop app and allow me to edit it there, but still save the changes to OneDrive. One of the other big features of OneDrive is the ease of sharing. You don't necessarily need to email things out, no more attachments, no more, is this the right attachment? Is this the other attachment? With the click of a button, whether you select it here and click share or use the expanded menu here, we can go ahead and share these files. And we can share them in a variety of different ways. We can share them to anyone who has the link. We can share them to anyone in our system who has the link, meaning anybody at Minnesota State, Mankato, anybody in the greater Minnesota State grouping of schools. We can share it specifically with people, specific individuals. And then we do have some different options we can do. We can allow editing. We can take that away. We can block a download so they are not able to download it. Within anyone with the link, there are 2 additional options. You can set an expiration date. For instance, if I wanted to share this out with, I don't know, a group of staff members or students, you know, we're going to do the polar plunge this year, and I'm going to create an online sign-up sheet. I'm going to share it. Anyone who has a link can come in and sign up for it. But we only have till next Friday to do it. So when I put that in there and save this, next Friday, that link will expire and you will no longer be able to get in and edit that content.
Yeah, and just a note here, Steve, on those links. I think it's important for people to know the difference between those, that the anyone with the link really means anyone inside or outside the university. Whereas
Yes.
people in MnSCU, it's anyone with a star ID and a password is generally what I think of it as. So you can share across the systems throughout MnState, and other folks within MnState can access that if you use the people in MnSCU with the link. For privacy and security, the recommendation it would be, if it's anything private, it should only be shared with those with a business need for it. So you want to, you might get down into the specific people section if it's something with any kind of private data in it.
Yep, those are all great points. Thank you for reminding me of those. One of the things that I run into a lot is, hey, I'm in my OneDrive. This is shared. Who is it shared to? How do I find that out? Well, if we open up our menu here and we click on the details, we can see a variety of things in here. We can see activity on the file listed here. I edited it about 5 hours ago. The other piece that we can do is, I clicked on the wrong one. Is we can manage our access. And so by clicking on this, we can see the different access that we've been given out. And much like Bryan said, right, these are all labeled. So anyone with the link, meaning whether they're in MnState, whether they're out external, anyone with this link can come and access this. I can copy this so that I can paste it in email or any other kind of communication. The link below it is for only people within the MnState system. And the bottom link is for only specific people that have allowed access to it. Again, here you have a menu option. You can click on more options. And in here, we can click this X to simply remove the link and eliminate that access. Since this one is an anyone with the link, we can go ahead and set an expiration date in here as well, if we need to, right? Say the deadline was extended from the 26th to the 31st. Well, we can go ahead and change that in here and extend that out. And simply by removing the link, anyone who uses this link won't be able to use it, and we'll delete the link. And now we're no longer sharing it with anyone here. That link has been removed. So although it can get
just to clarify, you removed the link that's shared with anyone. Now you still have links active for people in MnSCU, and you have links active for specific people. So those links still exist. If you decided, can you just show me what it would look like if you said you only want to continue sharing with those you gave specific access? Then you would just remove that middle link. Is that correct? Or that top link down?
Well, this is the specific access people. And then we can remove that if we wanted. The one above it is for MnState.
Right.
And we could go ahead and delete this as well. And now we should be left with only specific people who have access can then view this.
Okay, thanks.
And I know that I get lost in sharing. Have I shared this? Have I shared it to the right people? Oops, I forgot to include you. And so when you're going to be sharing something out, some things to consider are who needs access. Will that be changing? Keeping a list. The most secure way is to share it out to only specific people who need access. But that can get somewhat complicated if that is changing and growing. And so they have those different levels. For me, kind of to ease up on some of the security that you need to remember, who have I shared this with? Do they need access? But definitely, as Bryan pointed out, depending on what you're sharing, do consider what level of privacy you would need, and you can kind of share accordingly.
Yeah, because if you choose that anyone with the link and then that email gets forwarded to a group that it shouldn't, now everyone that received that link, even though it's not like indexed by Google or easily findable, just somebody mistakenly forwards a message that has that link in it and you chose anyone. Now, lots of people can access that. So there is some level of security through obscurity, but once that link gets out, it could be shared outside of the scope that you intended it to. And that's why it gives you those more granular settings in terms of specifying who can access the file or just making it a MnState access only.
And along with sharing comes multiple access, people changing things, working together collaboratively. So we can see here the last people to modify the files and kind of a general time frame of when they were modified, and then again, whether or not they're shared. So one of the other nice things about having things up in OneDrive is if I click on the projects, which I edited just a little bit ago, I added this new project to the top here. Well, if I had made that edit by error, or we're working on a group project and I made an edit to it, I'm sorry, I accidentally deleted half the document. One of the other things you can do through the expanded menu is you can go and look at version history, and you can go ahead and see who's edited this. That is a tongue twister for me for some reason. So I made this edit 8 minutes ago, and I don't want that edit anymore. I want the one that was 29 minutes ago. So we can go ahead and we can download this version of it to make sure it's the one we want. We can delete this version, or we can restore this version. And if I go ahead and restore this version, see, we have another edit that was made just now. And if I open up my projects, that top line is no longer there because I've reverted back to the previous one. So this is a nice feature when working with a group of people. You have a bit of history here. You can go back if something happens, if something gets deleted or it gets changed, or if your link happens to fall into someone's hands and something happens to it when it's open to anyone, you can go back and revert the changes if need be.
Yeah, one way I've seen this, Steve, in a department that would previously, every time they made a change and they needed to get approval before those changes were set in stone, so they would create, project dated 3/1/2021, and then the next day 3/2/2021, and they'd have all these files built up. And with this built-in feature of version history, you can just confidently save right over top of the previous version, and knowing that you can go back and restore a previous version at any time. So maybe you're collaborating on a document and someone's decided to take out a paragraph, and later in the project you realize, we should really put that paragraph back in. You could go back and find a version that had that paragraph in it, pull it out, and then bring it back to your current document.
Yeah, it makes collaborating easier. In the past, before we had the system, I would get lost in attachments and is this the latest one? Is this not the latest one? And that isn't the latest one. Here's the latest one. Memorize it before you go into your next meeting in 5 minutes. Good luck. So
yeah, I'd really encourage people, if they're still sending attachments around via email and playing that who has the latest version game, really commit to using OneDrive, create your document in there and share it through this and see how much easier it is that you all know you're working on the current version, because you're going to where that source file is. So if Steve and I are collaborating on this project, we know the source file is in his OneDrive. Whenever we make an edit, it's going to be there, and all those previous versions will be there in case we mistakenly change something that we shouldn't have.
Yep. Those are all good points. Now, this is all online. This is all great, but I'd prefer to work on my desktop. How do we get that working? Well, there's a OneDrive app for your desktop. Let me just switch over here quick.
So you were working on a web browser on the Mac operating system, correct, Steve? And now you're hopping over to Windows to show it.
I'm hopping over to my Windows machine. Can you see my screen, Brian?
Yes. Yep, we see your Windows screen right now, and I see your folder in the bottom right corner.
So OneDrive should be installed automatically for machines that are state issued. If you're a student using it, you can go and get it when you install the Microsoft apps. It'll be an option, and I believe you can also find it online as a standalone install as well. If you're launching it for the first time, you'll need to sign into it. But one of the things that you can do with OneDrive.
Before you continue, Steve, can I just point out, when you sign into it, this is because this is a Min State Office 365 app, you sign in using your star ID at minstate.edu for faculty and staff, and at go.minstate.edu for students.
Yep, that's correct. One of the things that you're able to do is you can right click on it and go into settings. And in your settings, it'll tell you how much storage you used and how much how much you've got. And one of the other nice things is you can choose folders to sync down to your desktop. So on this particular machine, I am syncing 4 locations, and this top one is my OneDrive. So if I go open my file explorer, you can see over here on the left-hand side, I've got my OneDrive for MinState here. And these are the folders that I have syncing information down. And there's different pictures in here. Let's see if I can find a view with all of them right here. So this thumbnail image has a green checkbox. That means that it's locally on my machine as well as in the cloud. This blue cloud means that the file's available in my OneDrive, and I haven't opened it, so it hasn't written the information to my local machine yet, but it's available. And if I were to open it up, hey, look, something I probably should finish. And now that I've opened it up, you can see that it's changed to a green checkbox, meaning it's now on my local machine. So if I take my machine and I go off campus and I'm working up at the cabin and I don't have any internet, any changes I make will be saved locally. And once I get an active internet connection, those changes will be pushed from my machine up. Another icon here is this little person. That means that it has been shared with someone. And much like the cloud version, right from here, I can go ahead and I can share this document much the same way we were online with anyone, people within our organization, people with existing access, some specific people. And I can do that right here from my desktop.
Can I just put a point on that too, that what that OneDrive application, by having that installed like Steve does, you can see it there in the bottom right-hand corner, the little blue cloud. By installing that application, what that does is it really keeps your online OneDrive folder and your computer in sync. So it lets you access right within your computer's file system all the files that you have on OneDrive. And when you make a change, it syncs it back to the cloud. And the benefit of that, of course, is that you automatically have a backup built right in. Every time you make a change on your computer and you have an internet connection, it will sync those changes for you. And you get all the benefits of working in the cloud with that version history and the easy sharing and all those benefits that we've talked about.
Yep. And then so back into the Office or the OneDrive application itself, one of the other features you can do is I can go in here and I can choose which folders I would like to come down. And right now I've just got a few. You can actually make all of them come down if you want so that they're all available. So say I wanted the alpha project to come down. I can check that box and hit OK. And then you'll see that over here on the left in my OneDrive folder, I now have access to my alpha project and to that 01234, that project that we were working on. And another great thing is just like your desktop, if I want to drag and drop something here, right? Those little blue arrows meaning it was working on writing that file. And if I were to switch back over to my OneDrive online, and I were to go into my alpha project, 1234, you can see that that file that I had drug over is now available online for me to interact with and experiment to work on if I need be. This is the Windows version of it. Did everyone follow me with my screen switch?
Yep, we just swiped over from Windows into your Mac operating system.
Yep, and so up in the upper right on your taskbar, you'll have a similar OneDrive folder and similar preferences. I can come in underneath my account and it'll show me storage I'm using. And I can go in here and I can pick the folders that I want to pull down. So in this instance, I'm already syncing the alpha project, but 1, 2, 3, 4 is missing from my list. So if I open my alpha project, I don't have 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I go ahead and check that and hit OK, it will start listing out the files that are here and make them available from the cloud for me to work on.
Can you go back to syncing, choosing your folder list again, Steve? Yeah, okay, now tick a box next to, choose that 1, 2, 3, 4 file again. And check it one more time. Okay, so that's going to make it so it's visible for you to view. There's a little checkbox up high that says make all files available. What that would check all of them, correct? So right
Yep.
now you're specifying, I only want this file and that file. If you check that one, then it will
Yep,
sync.
if I check this, it'll highlight everything in my list.
Okay, thank you.
And so it'll start pulling down everything in the list. But Brian brings up a good point. If I uncheck this, you'll note that there's a warning that comes up. If you stop syncing the files or folder, they'll still be on OneDrive, but they won't be on the Mac as they're ready to use. So the idea is if I'm working on a project 1, 2, 3, 4, and I get done with it, I no longer need the files on my local machine. I can uncheck that. I'm going to hit cancel because I don't want to sync everything. Sorry, Brian.
Yeah,
But if I go ahead and uncheck that and hit OK, that folder is now gone from my view again, meaning that it's still in the cloud, but it's not on my local machine.
and once you make that change, I don't know if people saw that, there's a little indicator on the cloud icon in the upper right-hand corner. It just has 2 little arrows kind of circling around, indicating that it's syncing. And that little icon will change too if you ever have a problem, like it's not connected, maybe it needs you to re-enter your credentials. So when Steve clicks OK, I think we might see, there it is, just a brief second of it doing the sync indicator, indicating that it's syncing. And so both in Mac, I think it shows by default, but in Windows, it can be in that hidden folder. So can you swipe back over to your Windows, Steve? Is that handy? Yeah, so in the bottom right-hand corner, you see there's a little caret icon that kind of points up where his hidden functions are, or where things that are hidden in his system tray. And if by default, I believe OneDrive is hidden in this section. And to me, it's such an important utility to make sure that it's always running and syncing so that all my files are backed up every time I work on them. I like to take and drag that down near the clock so that I can always have it in my view. So if there's a problem, if it's showing a big red X that it's not syncing, I can fix that to make sure all my files are backing up. And that almost never happens to me anymore, but every once in a while, maybe once every 6 months or so, it'll, ask for maybe on a password change, I need to update my credentials to make sure that it's syncing. So can you just drag a different item from hidden view down? And then if you want to make it visible, you just drag it down to where you can see it. And now Steve just dragged the Iventi client down so that he can keep an eye on that. But if that's not one that you need, then you can keep it hidden by all means.
All right.
While we're paused, Lexi, are there any questions that we need to cover?
Yeah, so we do have a question. Do we have documentation on how to use OneDrive or somewhere where people can go to get instructions on how to use these tools?
I believe we have some knowledge articles through our ITS knowledge.
Yes, but also I'll say that support.microsoft.com is really the best. You can work directly from them and be sure that you're getting the most up-to-date version, because Microsoft is constantly improving. Like we were just talking about the max file size, and that just changed on March 3rd, 2021. So just a couple weeks ago, that increased up to 250 gigabytes. So if you're looking for information specifically about OneDrive and any of the Microsoft products, searching Microsoft is a great approach. But if there's university specific things, we definitely have knowledge articles. For example,
Yep.
signing. I believe we have knowledge.
LinkedIn Learning is another good place where you can start. And Brian brings up a really good point about them constantly changing and updating things. One of the new features that they had, which I forgot to mention, which thank you, Brian, for talking about new features. One of the great things that they added recently is I can create a new folder here. And I can call it Bravo Project. And I can take this folder, much like sharing, but I can actually request files. So if I want to turn this folder into a request files, what it does is it makes it almost like a Dropbox. It's open for people to add things into, but they can't necessarily see what's there. And so enter the name of the request. I need your ideas for Bravo project. And so I can copy this link. I can also send it to folks. See if I can find Bryan here. And so he'll get an email with that link, and I can go ahead and show you. No, that wasn't what I wanted to do. I apologize.
While you find what you're looking for, can I just point out that the benefit of this is, like, if you're collecting a lot of items from a lot of different individuals, it just gives you a spot where everyone can drop those things. So then when you need to go review them, so maybe you're collecting, what's a good example? Purchasing information. So people who have purchasing abilities in your department, and you want them all to drop their receipts and documents into this folder. So then when it's time for you to go review and approve them, you have one spot where you can go to see those things.
Yep. So here it says who made it and what I'm requesting. And here's, I need some ideas. And so I can go through and I can select some files. See if I've got a picture or two I might be able to add. Let's add that one. And then I can put in my name. Although it's kind of odd that I'm sending my own stuff, but
if you sent this to me, this is the interface that I would have for contributing files to your OneDrive that you had requested from me. So you created a location for people to go drop information into your OneDrive so that you can access it when you need it.
Yep. And here's my here's the PNG that I just uploaded. It appended it with my name, and it was actually called PNG. I'm really creative. And this is great because now that I have uploaded something, or say Bryan uploaded something, it's not instantaneous, but here in a few minutes, I'll get an email saying that somebody has uploaded something here so that I know there's something new for me to review as well.
Cool. Are there any other questions, Lexi?
Nope, I think we're okay for now.
Okay.
All right. I am going to stop talking and turn it on over to Bryan. Bryan is going to be helping guide us through the wonderful world of OneNote, which is a great tool for organizing not only your own personal notes, but meeting notes and committee notes and ideas, thoughts. So I will stop sharing. Bryan?
All right, I'm going to start sharing. And like Steve said, I'm going to be talking about OneNote, and I just want to confirm, can you see my screen, Steve? I got a Google browser open currently.
Yep, we got it.
Okay. So now that you have OneDrive set up, which I really recommend first setting up your OneDrive and becoming familiar with that, making sure your app is running, and then diving into OneNote. So like I said, OneDrive is really, once you have that application installed with your primary computer, or computers, you can have like both a desktop and a laptop. And as long as you have that client running on both, it will keep all your files in sync. And I think that's a really important step towards ensuring that everything that you create in Office 365 is synced across all the places that you use it. So I'm going to start by working in the web, because I think this is how most people get started. And as we demonstrated in last week's video about Office 365, a lot of people's starting place for interacting with Office 365 is through MavMail. So I just typed in MavMail and go to the first link here. I'm going to choose login. And I've already logged in. I've already had entered my credentials and my password. So I told my browser it could remember who I am. So it went right into Outlook. And from here, to start with OneNote, there's a few different places I can go. But one of them, I think the primary would be up here in the upper left-hand corner in the app launcher. You click on that, and like Steve demonstrated earlier, for me, it's already pinned. I think for most people, the default, it's by default is pinned, so it's there. But if it's not, you can choose all apps and find it that way too. But I'll click on OneNote to open OneNote. And you'll see here a list of my current notebooks. So I've created a notebook called Purple Notebook. But for this demonstration of using Notebook in the web, so right now I'm in a web browser, so everything I'm doing here is on the web. I just want to quick show what creating a notebook here on the web would look like. I'm going to choose New Notebook, and it will give me a prompt. to give it a name. So I already have purple notebook, but I want to create a new one. I'm going to call it gold notebook. Click create. Oh no, I got a problem there. So I'll open up my purple notebook. I won't dig into what caused it. I've been doing a lot of experimenting with a few different accounts, so I probably created an issue by doing a lot of account swapping. So once I've created my new notebook, I'm in my purple notebook here, and it immediately shows me what section. So the metaphor in OneNote here is it's a notebook, and inside it you have sections, which are here in this column, and then pages within each of those sections. So right now I have one section and one page in this notebook. So again, I'm using OneNote on the web. If I wanted to open this, and I'll get into how to install this and how to use it later, but you can install a version of OneNote on your computer, which is really recommended. You just get some more nice functions that are built into that when you use stuff on the web, sometimes the interface is just a little clunkier because it has to use the web protocols for doing everything, whereas the installed application can build some nice conveniences in. So that's if you have a computer that you use day to day, like a student who has a laptop that they're bringing everywhere, a staff member, a faculty member, the same, I'd really recommend installing the app. So I'll get into that next before I carry on too much about web version, but this is just a glimpse of what it looks like on the web. And once you build a version that's on your computer, you can still access those same notes on the web. So let's say you're at a friend's house and you need to access some notes that you have in your notebook and you didn't bring your laptop with, but you want to reference something that you had noted, you'd be able to log into your Office 365 account and view it on the web without syncing it down to the actual application. Okay, so to install OneNote, if you're a faculty or staff member and you get a standard install from the university when you get your new computer, it's going to be installed by default. But if it isn't, you can always go to the app launcher and then Office 365. Sorry about that. It's I think because I've already clicked it, it's disappeared for me, but there's usually an install applications button. And so my demonstration, let me see if it's in all apps. Maybe I just got confused about where it's at. Here I got add-ins, but there should be an option to install. And
Bryan, if you just if you go to the right of the waffle, it'll say, just says Office 365. Yep, so close the waffle.
Okay.
And click that one. Oh, you can't, never mind.
Sorry. Yeah, I think that, like I said, I was playing with this earlier and I think I had clicked it just for demonstration purposes. And now it's remembering that I've already installed it and have it synced. Though I can see here, it is giving me an option here in my browser. It's giving me the little install icon. So it could be that it's moved it from being on my page to here. Maybe an example of things moving around. Okay, so let's start from that you've now installed the application. Okay, so I'm not going to be working in the browser anymore. I'm going to close my browser window for the moment, and I'm going to show you how to launch OneNote application. And so to do that, you can press your start button and just start typing OneNote and it will find it, or you can scroll through your list and find it in your list of applications. So I'm going to choose OneNote. And right now I'm giving an example of starting fresh. Like I've never created a OneNote notebook before. Typically when I launch OneNote on my computer, it's filled with all my sections and pages of information that I've collected over the years that I've been working for IT Solutions. So right now I'm starting with an empty notebook because I'm just getting started. Next, when I have the application open, I'm going to hit this little drop down over in the left corner to add a new notebook. And then it'll take me to the new notebook page. And I want my new notebook to be created in my OneDrive Mint State account. And this location looks good. And so it will pop open and just confirm that's where I'm going to put it. And it wants me to give a notebook name. So personally, for me, when you create a new notebook, I recommend giving it a name, naming it after yourself. So I would like to put Bryan's notebook, but I have a feeling that apostrophe is going to be problematic for the file system. So I'll just say my name, Bryan Johnson, and I'll click create. And then the next prompt it gives me is that your notebook has been created and asking me if I'd like to share this one with other people. So this notebook I'm making just for me, for my notes, for stuff that I need reference to, but not anyone else. So for now, I'm going to say not now. And then it jumps in, and you'll see in the upper left-hand corner, the notebook that I have open is Bryan Johnson. And it gives me my first section, which is currently blank here on the top. And over on the right side is the list of my pages. So in the web view, you saw that it was just columns next to each other. In the actual application, it's laid out just a little differently in that the notebook's here in the upper left-hand corner, section tabs on the top, so I can add a new section here, and then pages on the right, and I can add new pages by clicking Add Page over here. So those are just a few examples. And then how you organize your information is completely up to you. But I really recommend not going crazy with creating lots of different notebooks for every topic that you work on, but rather using your sections and pages for as long as you can until you feel like, okay, this is overflowing. I need to break some of this out, and then migrate some of your sections and pages to a new notebook if needed. So currently,
Bryan,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to make mention, you used to be able to create a section of sections. Is that something you can still do?
Section of sections.
Yep. So a new section group. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Okay. So you can create a section group. New sections group. Let's call it. Okay. So even if you fill your sections up, you'd still be able to create a sections group if you needed to hide some of those more. So really, one notebook for an individual was probably going to be, as much as you need, just using these sections, pages, and then sections group, which Steve just shared. So I'm going to start from here with my new section, and I'm just going to use my own current working circumstances as an example. So I work in IT solutions, so I'm going to create an IT solutions section, but the divisions and colleges that I serve are SBS and College of Arts and Humanities. So I'm going to organize by these different groups that I work with and for, and finance and administration. Okay, so now I have a section for each of the areas that I primarily work for, just so I can keep my IT solutions information in one section, my SBS information in another, and I can kind of start to build out from here. So I'm going to start with my SBS section. And one of the projects that I worked on first when I moved to IT solutions was the website transition. So I'm going to create a whole page just to that. And my spelling's bad, so let me fix that. Okay. And then from here, I just started taking some notes. Okay, who am I going to be working with on this? And so, I was working with Elise. And what was the URL of the website we're going to be working on? It was sbs.mnsu.edu. We were going to be doing our work in EpiServer. So I'm just kind of jotting some stuff down here. And as I gained more information, I would start plugging it into this. Okay. So maybe I want to take a picture of what the SBS webpage looks like at this current time and add it to my notebook, because I think that would help just frame up what it is I'm working on. So I'm going to type in sbs.mnsu.edu. And what I want to consider, we're really looking at whether we want these four links to, we're just going to have a discussion about this. So let me grab a quick picture of that. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Now that I'm running the application, there's a few different ways that I can grab a screenshot and put it right into my notebook here. So in these notebooks, it's not just a place to put text. You can also put pictures, you can do audio recordings, and I'll give some examples of those. But I think one of the most powerful that you'll want to start using right away, of course, is entering text, but then after that is entering pictures and screenshots. So I'm going to go back and I just want to grab a picture from the website and post it into my website transition section here. And so I could do that by clicking Insert and grabbing a screen clipping. Okay, that's one way. And then it jumps back and it kind of whites out my screen and shows me that right now I don't have anything selected, but I can use this little target symbol to select what it is I want to grab a screenshot of. And then it takes that and it pastes it right into my OneNote where my cursor was. So my cursor was right here underneath EpiServer, and then I was able to paste in this image of the screenshot that I took. And it also gives me a little information. The screen clipping was taken on this date. So I can remember that, well, this is what it was as of 3/15/2021. And if you don't want that, you can always highlight it and delete it. All right. Now let's say I want to, let me see where to go next. I'm going to explore this insert. So along the top bar of my OneNote application, there's a lot of different functions. Just like in most Office 365 tools, this is called the ribbon. And it's just a place where they put all the tools that you can use inside this application. So right now I'm on the Home tab, and that gives me all the basic functionality, being able to paste information, cut and copy, format painter, just some basic text editing. So bolding and lists and bulleted lists, color changing. And then I can get into styles. So you can get into your H1, H2, page title type information. And then next is tags, which is a really powerful feature. So let's say my task is we're going to change from departments to area of study. And that's my task, is to change from this screenshot. We want to change that from departments to area of study. I could take and turn that into a to-do item. So I can use my tags to just put a little to-do check mark next to it. And the cool thing about this is it's interactive. So I can actually select that and check it off once I've done it. And I've created some custom tags too. So the tags that you're seeing right now are not the default tags. These are ones that I've created. So I have an urgent to-do tag. I have a to-do soon tag. I have a done tag, and so on. And I even have some people's names in here. So people that I work with regularly, I have their name in here. So, maybe I have a question about this for, let's say Matt Potashnik. Then I have it tagged for him, and I don't have to go ask him every time I have a question for him and interrupt his work. Rather, I can just tag it with his name, knowing that I have a weekly meeting with him. I can just search for those tags later on and pull up all the things that I need to ask him. And it will bring me right to where I tagged his name, so that I can ask him question in context here. So the question I have for him at this time is about the website transition for SBS. Okay. All right, I'm going to move on to the insert section. And inserting, there's a lot of different options here. And I know we're getting a little close to low on time, so I'm going to try to focus on just a couple highlights here. Tables are always handy, so you can select, if you need to create a quick table view of something. And you can change your sizes there. So item 1, item 2, item 3, and so on. And you can create a quick table. You can attach files. So I'm going to move this over to one side of the screen. And let's say I want to drop in a document. There's a few different ways to do that. You can do it here from the Insert Files section. I can choose my file by clicking the file button, and it would bring me to this File Explorer view to find my file. Or I can actually just grab from my desktop and drag it right into my notebook. And on my other screen here, it prompted me, do I want to attach the file or do I want to insert a printout? So I'm going to choose for this one, I'm going to do insert printout so you can see what that looks like. And it just processed it on my other screen, and you'll see it attached the file. So it actually does both. It both attaches the file and inserts the printout. So I could double click this and open the document, but also it took everything that was in that document and put it on this page. So this isn't a great example because the only thing I have in there is the title, our bid project, and I haven't added anything else. But let's say this was a 6-page document, it would insert a printout of all 6 of those pages and all the information that's on them. Okay. Just some other quick tools up here. If I wanted to add a date to this page, it's already on here by default because I just created this page, but maybe this task I need to, I just want it noted that this task was created on today's date. So there's a button up here. I can just click date, or I can click time, or I can click date and time, and it just inserts the month, day, year, and time. Okay, much like Steve was demonstrating with version history, that's another cool thing about OneNote is that it has version history as well. So the way that I can view that, I'll navigate away from this one, and let's just look at history. And if you use this on multiple devices, it will actually show you what's changed, or if you're collaborating with somebody and you have another author and they've made some changes, you can look at the history tab and you can click through all the different changes as you go. So because this is a new notebook, I don't have a great demonstration of that at this time, but it's a really neat feature if you're collaborating on a notebook. And you can also find out who the author of a given line was. So you can turn on to find your authors, or you can hide your authors. And then, of course, you can do your page versions. So this page I haven't edited at all, so there's not going to be a version there. But if I go back to this page, let's see if I have a version yet. Because it's a new, yeah, I don't have any current page versions because I've only had one version, and that's everything that I've edited so far. A few extra functions here. If you have a group notebook where you're collaborating, or a shared notebook, but you want one specific section locked. So maybe we have a section called finances, and I want this section locked. I can create a password using this password function. So you can share all of a notebook, but have one section with an extra level of security that's not shared. And then there's different views too. So you can change, you know, how you like your page. So I can make it line ruled or grid paper. I personally like none, but I could also change the page color. And there's just lots of different things here that you can do. But a really cool feature is drawing. So if you have a tablet, being able to draw on here is great. So we're getting a little short on time, so I'm not going to show on what that would look like, but I have an iPad, and I could open this app on the iPad and I could do some drawing, but I'll just show what that looks like here. So I can select a pen and I can draw around here. And if there was text on here, I could highlight. And then once I'm done with that and I want to go back to typing, I can choose to go back to type. And then the flexibility of OneNote is great. So let's say I don't want the words here next to my pretty drawing. I want it over here. I just click here and start typing. You'll see that it creates a text box right where I need it. So where some people I've seen do this in like Microsoft Word, and Word is great for creating documents that are meant to be published in some way. Maybe they're going to be turned into PDFs and sent out, or printed, something like that. But really, this is optimized for creating digital content that you can reference later. And it gives you a lot of flexibility knowing that, so that you can just insert your cursor wherever you want and start typing, or you can grab screenshots. And then the real great part is that all of this is indexed and searchable. Okay. So everything that I put in here, if you really commit to it and use this as your daily note-taking app, and everything that you do, you kind of just create a little meeting note about, or information that you need, and it's going to build up. You're going to see lots of pages, and you might say, well, that seems overwhelming. But the great thing is it's all indexed and searchable. So let's say I know I had a meeting about EpiServer. I could just start typing. I can go in my search box here, type the word EpiServer, and I can see that I have a reference to EpiServer on this page. And I click that, and it jumps right over and highlights the word EpiServer for me. So I can know, where was it that we were talking about that service again? Oh yeah, it was in our website transition meeting. Okay, and I'm going to go back to finances here just as an example. And watch this. I'm actually typing the word department. So I don't believe I actually entered the word department with text on this page. But watch, I'm going to select this to see where the word department shows up. And it found it inside the image that I had copied and pasted from the website. So remember, I grabbed that screenshot. So this is an image, and using optical character recognition, that's OCR, it indexes even things that are in images. So if you grab a picture of a PowerPoint presentation, or just, you're out and about and you take a picture of something and it has words on it, as long as it's clear enough, OneNote will pick it up and will index it, so that when you're searching for it later, you can actually find right where it was. So again, I'm going to show that one more time. Let's say I'm just starting in IT solutions, but I want to find, where was it we were talking about the department, and I hit enter, and it shows me all the times that I use the word department, even inside images. All right, we're reaching the end here. Lexi, were there any questions about OneNote before we wrap up?
I don't see any questions in the chat about OneNote, but if anybody has any, please go ahead and send those in.
Yeah, and I think in closing, I want to give one more demonstration. So if you want to create this as like your hub for storing information, on my other screen right now, I have Outlook open, but I'm going to open a meeting. And I think most of our faculty and staff might be familiar with this view. And this is just the meeting invite from Outlook. And you'll notice that it has a meeting notes button right on the top of it. So I can take this click meeting notes, and it will prompt me, do you want to share notes with this meeting or do you want to take notes on your own? And so I could share notes and it would send Steve an invite to view that, or I can take them on my own. So personally, when I'm taking notes at a meeting, I like to take them on my own. And then if someone asks for my notes, then I can send them to them. So I'm just gonna click take on my own. And then it asks me, where do I want to put these? And so I want them in the Bryan Johnson folder. And specifically, I'm gonna put them inside of IT Solutions folder. One cool thing that I think is a helpful thing is to create a section called meetings, and then you can choose this always send meeting notes to this same section. So then every time you create a new meeting, it's like a meeting inbox for all your meeting notes, and then you can sort them afterwards. So that way it just removes one more decision to make when you're at a meeting and you're just getting set up, getting ready with your notes, to always send it to the same spot. So I don't have my meeting section created right now, so I'll just use IT Solutions as an example. I click OK. And it goes into IT Solutions. It creates a new note. It adds the meeting date and the time. It adds the location. So since this meeting is a Zoom meeting, it gave me that information. It gives me a link back to the Outlook item. So if I wanted to open that, I could click on it and it takes me right back to this Outlook item. It shows me the invitation message, but it shows it to me collapsed. So I can click expand if I want to see all that information that was included in it. But by default, it's hidden. And then it shows me my participants. So this is one that I created just for Steve and I, and I'm here. So I'm going to check off that I'm here, and Steve I know is here. So I'm going to check off that he's there. And now I can start my meeting notes. And so every time I go to a meeting, this is my ritual at a new meeting is to open the meeting on my Outlook calendar, click OneNote, and it creates this new section for me to take notes. And if I end the meeting and I don't really have any action items or any useful notes, then I'll just go ahead and delete that. But if I do, then I will, take the action that I need, or maybe I'll move them to be part of. So let's say this one is about finance and admin, and I can move it to the finance just by dragging and dropping. I can move it to the finance and admin section. All right, we're in our final 2 minutes, so I feel I better wrap up, Lexi.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you both. That was a great presentation. Do either of you have the PowerPoint that you could pull up for me? I just have a couple of quick reminders before we let y'all go. And of course, if there are any last questions that anybody wants to sneak in, go ahead and put them in the chat. Otherwise, I just have a few things I want to remind you of before we go. If you're interested in viewing other IT Solutions webinars on other topics, we do have those available too. You can head over to mankato.mnsu.edu/ITS webinars. This is where you can find sessions on lots of different topics that we've done in the past, like cybersecurity, tech tools for remote working, tips for university website editors, and lots more. So feel free to view those. And then we have one more screen here. If you want to go ahead and stay up to date with the latest campus technology news, get tech help and support, or explore other IT Solutions resources, check out our website at mnsu.edu/ITS. And don't forget to find us on Facebook at ITS MSU and follow us on Twitter at ITS MNSU. So with that, it doesn't look like we have too many other questions. Maybe one more, I guess we have time. Someone says, discuss the security of cloud storage. So if Bryan or Steve, one of you want to touch on that real quick before we hop off?
Sure. One of the reasons we recommend Microsoft is that we have agreements with them to ensure that the data that we put into Office 365 is secured in a way that complies with both our education FERPA laws and Minnesota Data Government Practices Act. And that's both the storage of and the transmission of that data to ensure that it's transmitted and stored securely within the requirements of those laws. So Steve, do you have anything to add on that?
Security can mean a lot of different things to different people. One of the things I think about security is, right, I'm putting stuff in the cloud. Is it going to be there? One of the other things that Microsoft has built in is that the information is stored in a redundant system that they've got built. So it's stored locally, say in the Chicago data center, but it's also stored, say in the Denver data center. So if there's a natural disaster or something happens in Chicago, your information isn't all lost. It's still backed up into Denver, and those spots make cloud hops over time, and information is transferred around. So it is secure not only, as Bryan says, in the way of our laws, FERPA and HIPAA compliant, but it's also secure in the fact that it's redundant somewhere.
Yeah. Great point, Steve, that it's spread across the country and stored within the United States. A cool thing when I started working in technology, I remember when I first got a flash drive, and I thought it was so convenient to have all my files on this flash drive. And everywhere I would go, I'd have this flash drive with me until the day that I lost it. It fell off my keychain, a little plastic piece broke, and I couldn't find it. And so this awesome convenience that I'd created for myself was gone. And all those files were stored in a way that they were not secure. And so I was panicked for a while going, okay, where did I put this? I need these files. The great thing about OneDrive, which Steve demonstrated, is that all that stuff, I could have just logged into a website, entered my credentials, and I would have had access to all those files. And they're stored in a way with versioning and stored across the nation. So if any one of the data centers does go offline, it's accessible through a different data center. Luckily I did find my flash drive, but just for that moment, it was like my lesson of like, okay, this is where cloud computing is really clicking for me. Why risk losing all this data on this mobile thing when I could just use the internet to reach out and access my files?
Great insight. Thank you. All right, that looks like we are wrapping up the questions here and we're gonna head out. So thanks everyone for joining us on our second Microsoft March webinar, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you all for our next ones. So have an awesome rest of your day. Bye everyone.